Another day, another terrorist bombing. This one is in Turkey, and it was in the heart of Istanbul, in the area that is most frequented by tourists, and it did target tourists and killed tourists. Let me tell you more. A suicide bomber thought to have crossed recently from Syria, according to Reuters, killed at least 10 people, most of them German tourists, in Istanbul's historic heart on Tuesday. They go on to explain at Reuters that all of those killed in Sultanahmet Square near the Blue Mosque and the Hagia Sophia, major tourist site in the center of one of the world's most visited cities, were foreigners. Davutoglu said he is the Prime Minister of Turkey. A senior Turkish official said 9 were German, while Peru's foreign ministry said a Peruvian man also died. Now, let me show you where this attack happened. This is, like I said, at the very center of Turkey's tourism industry. So we've done stories about how the Turkish government seemed to have at least played along with shuffling weapons in and oil out of ISIS-held territories, perhaps working with some ISIS figures. Well, they wouldn't be working with them in this case. It appears that it is ISIS, but it seems nearly inconceivable that the Turkish government would be happy with a terrorist bombing in the heart of Istanbul that would terribly affect their tourism industry, let alone the fact that all those poor people got murdered. Now, in the past, there have been bombings where the Turkish government, unfortunately, seemed to have turned a blind eye. There was bombing near the Syrian border. They said it was ISIS, and then there was a Kurdish peace protest in Ankara, the capital, where over 100 people were killed and not a lot of police protection there. Now, in this case, there was no major event, so you would have normal police protection, but I can't imagine that the Turkish government is happy about this turn of events. So finally, they seem to be a little angry at what they call Daesh. Now, of course, they claim they've been angry all along, although some troubling reports about that. Now, Davutoglu, the Prime Minister, reached out to Angela Merkel, since most of the people that were killed were Germans. And then he went on and talked to the press and said, until we wipe out Daesh, that's their name for ISIS, Turkey will continue its fight at home and with coalition forces. And he said that they would significantly punish the perpetrators, find them, hunt them down, and all the things that leaders say after their country has been bombed. So now we have some video footage of what happened at the scene. I want to show you that as I tell you a little bit more about this attack.
Girme, tamam, bu kadar arkadaşlar, tamam. Buradan ayrılma.
Arkadaşlar uzaklaşın şuradan.
Mustafa abi, canlı bomba. Mustafa abi. Canlı bomba, canlı bomba. Ölüler var şu anda. Çok sayıda yaralı ve ölü var, evet. Tamam abi, tamam, bak uzaklaştım, tamam.
Okay, so that's where the police are saying it's a live bomb. It's a live bomb. There are people who've been murdered. There's a lot of dead and wounded, and then you see, obviously, people rushing in to help. So these terrorists have terrorized us all. You know, this is what we've been saying from day one, whether it was attacks here in the United States, Paris, and mostly, honestly, in the Middle East. So Iraq has been devastated with terrorist attacks. Afghanistan, Syria, now neighboring countries like Lebanon, Turkey, with giant bombing after giant bombing. So these guys who claim to be protectors of the faith in regards to Islam, they're Islamic radicals. Everybody's got their own interpretation of all the different religions. They claim that they're the true leaders, and then religious figures in these countries say, no, ISIS is the exact opposite of Islam. I'm not here to judge that. I read the book, and to me it looks like they both have a case to make. The Quran, just like the Bible, is in parts benevolent and talks a lot about helping your fellow man and feeding the poor, and in parts is horrific and talks about killing everybody that disagrees with you. And if you think the Bible doesn't do the same, you're misinformed. Okay. Now, Christian radicals didn't do this, though. Islamic radicals did it. Now, who did they target? They targeted, in this case, tourists. And in other cases, in Beirut, they targeted Shiite Muslims, who are also Muslims, but not good enough, not according to their interpretation. No, it's not good enough to be a Muslim. You got to be Sunni. And if you're a Sunni, it's not good enough to be a Sunni. You have to believe in their particular interpretation. This is why I don't believe in religion, because it just leads people down a dark hole where they can choose to take the horrific parts of the text and use that against us. So, yes, we've talked about this a lot in the past. There are radicals in each faith, and the Christian radicals would like Armageddon, where almost everybody on the planet dies. They think that that's like a wonderful scenario where Jesus comes back and murders almost everyone, okay? I don't find that to be a wonderful scenario, and they push for that through the foreign policy of the greatest military ever built, the U.S. military. So state violence is enormously important. Those guys anywhere near any trigger is a problem, and the U.S. Air Force, unfortunately, in stories we've covered, is littered with evangelicals that can't wait for Armageddon where we all die. That's a dangerous situation. This dangerous situation is more immediate. So, yes, the state violence is also immediate. Yes, the occupation exists. Yes, the U.S. does bombings throughout the world. Yes, Saudi Arabia is vicious in their state violence, both internally and externally. What they're doing in Yemen now is literally a war crime, okay? But terrorism is also massively vicious. Those poor Germans, what did they do? They went to a Muslim country, in this case Turkey, and they were going to look at their mosques. And these guys who claim to represent Islam come into a Muslim country, bomb it, and hurt those innocent people who wanted to find out more about Islam or just wanted to go have a nice vacation in a nice country like Turkey. And now the blood is everywhere. What's the answer? The answer is you have to defeat them culturally. And I don't mean it's the Christian culture versus the Muslim culture or the Western culture versus Eastern culture. Once you've done that, you've helped the terrorists with the game they want to play. They want to pretend that all Muslims are on one side, all Christians are on the other side, that this is a religious fight. Religious fundamentalists love religious fights. That's not what we want. Now, at the same time, you have to acknowledge that it is a cultural issue. So what is it? It's the fundamentalism. Us people who are secular, who are moderates, who are logical, who are reasonable, need to understand what the actual problem is. The actual problem is it's religious nut jobs who can't wait for war with one another, trying to push all of the rest of us into that war. They do it with bombing, they do it with state violence, they do it with terrorism, they do it with all these different things until we're all caught in the middle. But I can't stand it anymore. I don't want to be caught in the middle. San Bernardino is not that far from here. So that happened here. New York, my friends were in New York in 9/11. And I've got friends in Turkey and Istanbul as we speak that could have been there during that terrorist bombing. I'm sick of it. Aren't we all sick of it? But the answer isn't to play their game and say us versus them, Islam versus non-Islam, West versus East. That helps them. Don't do that. Let's not help them. Let's hurt their cause. Let's just, if we can, pulverize their cause. But how do you do that? You do it with a battle of ideas. You say fundamentalism of all of these religions is wrong. We should do things based on logic, based on laws that we have all agreed to in democracies. We should not do it based on whatever your ancient text is. The minute you say, well, the Muslims are wrong, but my text is right, we've lost. Because then what they're going to do is they're going to grab more people to their side and say, see, we told you, the Christians are in a war with you, you better grab a gun, you better grab a bomb. Let's defeat all fundamentalism. I know people think that it's naive. It's not naive. This fundamentalism came from someplace. And I've tracked it on the show before. I've told you one of the reasons was Saudi Arabia that spread Wahhabism with the oil money that they got all throughout. They bought radio stations, television stations, they put it into books, and they did madrasas and schools, and they spread it all throughout the world. And then the U.S. came in and thought it was a brilliant idea to help Islamic fundamentalism along to fight the godless communists. And then we took our money and we poured it more into the culture to encourage fundamentalism. What a terrible idea that turned out to be. It's literally blowing up in our face. Now, if we did that kind of damage, the Saudis, who are our allies, the U.S., and whoever else participated in that, well, think about it. If we did it, we can undo it. Is it going to be easy? No, it's going to be enormously hard to undo it. But it can be done. If it was culture and if it was that media that did it in the first place and they did a coordinated attack on our culture, secular culture, well, we can do a coordinated attack back on their culture. Except We don't do it with bombs because that plays into their game that says the answer is violence. For secular people, the answer shouldn't be violence. The answer should be, if they're going to try to brainwash you with lies, well, then we're going to try to bring you the facts. And the facts are, none of these texts are true. Muhammad didn't talk to God, and God said to him, oh, what a wonderful coincidence. It turns out you should sleep with anyone you like, including people that are in your army, their wives. Other people don't get to play by the same rules. You get special rules. What a lucky break for Muhammad. Who believes this? Once you tell them the truth, who can believe this stuff? Same thing in Mormonism. What a lucky break for Joseph Smith. It turns out that God wants him to have sex with everybody's wives and everybody's daughters. God never comes and says, hey, let Bob have sex with everybody else. God is always coming and telling you you should have sex with everybody else. And then in Christianity, you think it's less absurd? Jesus walked on water. Jesus brought people back from the dead, and the fish and the wine and all that stuff, and he only got 12 people to believe in him? In a time of enormous religiosity. Jesus, after doing all those things, only got 12 people to believe in him. Moses split the Red Sea and it rained frogs. There were historians in Egypt. They wrote down how much grain was sold from Ahmet to Mehmet. Probably named differently at the time. They didn't write anything about a Moses. They didn't write anything about the Red Sea splitting or raining frogs or any of the other things that they claim in the Old Testament. None of it is true. None of it is true. You're killing all these poor people over facts that are not at play, over mythology because you thought Thor was better than Zeus. Okay, I know the damage that's been done to the culture of Islam and to the world, but I believe, you want to call me naive or foolish for believing, but I believe we can undo that damage. Step one is, no offense to anybody, but I got to tell you, it just isn't true. None of the religions are true. There isn't a God with an elephant's head and 6 to 8 arms. It isn't true. None of it is true. Stop killing people over it.